Are you thinking about moving abroad? It's becoming super popular nowadays because of the ease of remote work, the cost of living skyrocketing in the West, and more visa options for long-term stay. But before moving abroad, here are 6 things I wish I knew when I decided to move abroad. A lot of these lessons I learned in the hardest way, so I'm sharing them with you so you don't have to. Let's go. Have a plan for your income. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner, a remote employee, or a freelancer, you should have a plan in place for income to come in consistently before you make the jump to move abroad. 7 years ago, I was young and dumb, so I quit my cushy office job and I bought a one-way ticket to Chiang Mai, Thailand. And I figured out my income along the way. Luckily, I had skills of software engineering and web development, so I was able to land freelance clients and sustain myself. But going back in time, I would have gone about this way differently. If you're a business owner, make sure that everything is systemized and in place first. That means making sure you have a solid team, SOPs in place, communication cadence. Make sure that your business works like a well-oiled machine without you actually having to be there. Do a 2 to 3 week trial period where you take a workcation. Go somewhere close or nearby for 2 to 3 weeks. Try running your business remotely and see if the numbers still hold up. Does your staff still show up on time? Is revenue still roughly the same or growing? Do this first before committing to a long-term decision like completely moving your life to another country. If you're a remote employee, make sure you have actual permission from your employer to be living in another country or time zone while working for them. I've seen a lot of people lie to their employers and say that they're still in their home country, and this kind of lie they can only sustain for so long. Over a few months, the paranoia of being caught or working overnight, these kinds of people don't last too long in the game. So make sure that you get that okay and permission first. If you're a freelancer, make sure you have a few steady clients that can cover all your living expenses and a little more before you make that jump. That being said, an important tip here is to estimate your living expenses in your target country. There's a lot of forums and websites that have all this information, like Nomad List, that you can go to figure out how much it will cost roughly per month to live in your target city or country. And if you're young and willing to take risks, then sure, take that jump like I did, but at least have a plan in place of what skill you're gonna learn, master, and sell, or what product you're gonna sell, how you're gonna do it, and the steps necessary to get there. The last thing you wanna do is end up in a location that you fall in love with, run out of money, and have to go back home to an office job or work that you hate. So make sure to get your money straight first. So now that you have your money on point, the next step is to make sure that you have the correct visa. No matter who you are or where you're from, if you enter a new country, you're a foreigner. That means that country sees you as a visitor. You're not special. No matter where you go, you have to abide by their immigration and visa laws. Every country is different with their combination of how long people from certain countries can stay or visas. So that's up to you to do your own research. But make sure before you decide to move to a country that you look at the long-term visa options. 7 years ago, when I made the jump, I made the mistake of not actually looking at visas beforehand. I just booked that one-way flight, arrived on a visa exemption, and figured it out from there. And I have to say that if I planned ahead, this process would have been much smoother and I would have had way less headache. And it's not just Thailand, but any other country that requires visas, which to no surprise is going to be mostly all of them. Look at your government's website on visas regarding that country and find the long-term options. And something I recommend to anyone considering moving abroad is try the country first before you make a long-term commitment. Just because you see videos online talking about Thailand doesn't mean that it's going to fit you. Everyone's personality is different and every location fits different personalities. Thailand might be beautiful and the oceans are nice, like right here, and that fits me, but that doesn't mean it's going to fit you. So before even looking into long-term visas, I recommend taking a 2-week to 1-month trip to your destination country or city. Check it out. See if you like it. See if you like the people. See if you like the place. And do this first before considering moving there long-term. Now that we have our income and visas handled, here comes the hard part, the human side of things. Be prepared to be lonely. When you move abroad, you're entering a new environment, new rhythm, and new people. It's not like you're gonna go and fit in right away. For many people, it's the first time in their entire life that they're moving to another country. They're gonna be in for a shock because people aren't the way that they're used to back home. There's gonna be a transition period. And in my experience of moving around quite a bit, I learned that it takes up to 2 months to really find my groove and settle into a place. So what that means is expect to be doing things alone, like eating at restaurants or going to parties and going to events. You're not gonna have people that you're familiar with and inviting you just like back home. So if you've never eaten alone at a restaurant before, this could be a good growth opportunity for you to be okay sitting there, enjoying a meal by yourself without anyone else. And with this loneliness, I've seen people go in 2 extremes. One is over socializing, which means they're at every single meetup, event, co-working space, trying to make friends wherever they can because they cannot handle being by themselves. But I've seen the other extreme where people become essentially hermits, where they isolate themselves from the entire world. In the last 7 years, I've gone through both of these phases myself. And I have to say the best way to go about it is to develop true acceptance. And what I mean by that is when you're alone, learn to love being alone. So if you're home alone at your new condo or a guest house or apartment and you're staring at a blank wall, fall in love with that time because that time will also teach you a lot about yourself. And then in that state of being okay, if someone else comes and they offer nice company, well, that's just a bonus, right? And if you take this approach, you'll learn that your travels are much smoother and nice. Because another thing is that most friendships that you make when you first move abroad are gonna end up being shallow or transient. A lot of these digital nomad hotspots or places where expats move, people are there for a short time and they move on. You might invest a few months of energy and time into a person only to find out that one day they pack up and decide to go somewhere else. And it's fine as long as you go in with the expectation that this might happen. I'm not saying all new friendships abroad are like this. I've had the privilege of having a few very deep and close friends that I met while abroad, but expect that these are very rare, and most often than not, most of your new friendships will be shallow and transient. So a piece of advice that I can give to not feel lonely and to make friendships is to have a hobby that you genuinely enjoy, whether the people are there or not. Something like that for me is Muay Thai. Doesn't matter if I'm in Thailand, Bali, or Mexico. If I find a Muay Thai gym, I know that I enjoy it. I like going there and training. And chances are I'll meet some really cool people and we'll be able to go out and have dinner after. If those people are not at the class, I'll still have a good time anyway because it's something that I'm passionate about and I like. So if you have a hobby like that and if you really enjoy it, then take up that hobby. That's a great way to make friends and meet people in your new home country. But no matter how many friends you make, you're gonna have to be open-minded because every place is going to be different and you are gonna have to adapt to the place and not the other way around. When I moved from the hustle and bustle of East Coast office USA and I moved to a place like Chiang Mai, Thailand, it was a huge shift. You see on the East Coast, everyone's in a rush. They work at least 8 hours a day, hustling. When they eat fast. When they're walking, they walk fast. They always feel like that they don't have enough time. Chiang Mai is completely different from that. A lot of the locals and expats there live a very chilled life. They're okay taking 2 hours to enjoy a coffee with friends while looking at the mountains. And I tried to take this hustle culture to Chiang Mai, and what I found was things didn't work out. When I was in traffic on my motorbike, I was trying to rush things and get people to move faster. The locals are not gonna drive faster just because I want them to. Or if I was waiting for service at a restaurant and I was used to the waiter checking on me every 5 minutes, that's not how things work in Thailand. First of all, they don't even have a tip culture. Employees are a lot more chill and relaxed. So I noticed quickly that I was getting frustrated everywhere I was going. And a friend of mine at the time said, "Whoa, dude, you're trying to bring that hustle East Coast culture here, and it's not gonna work. You're gonna have to adapt." So over time, I learned to start driving at the rhythm of Chiang Mai, start eating at the rhythm of Chiang Mai, and even start working to the rhythm. And I found that over time, I was able to assimilate in this place without as much headache and frustration and really start to enjoy it. And this is a very small example because even in the same country, so for example, Bangkok versus Chiang Mai, there's a stark contrast to the way that people live and the culture and vibe of the place. And that's for every city and every country. And on this note, think about the mindset. You're going to another country. You're a guest. You are interacting with the people who already live there. To try to take your own preferences and your own way of life to that new place is like trying to take dirt to the ocean and not expect it to get wet. So instead of that, go in with an open mind to learn about the culture, learn about a different pace and flow of life, and actually take that with joy as a growth opportunity. Build your own system of self-discipline. Remote work is already hard enough by itself. To not have a boss or team hovering over your shoulders and to actually get stuff done is already hard in your home country. But if you combine that with being in a new environment, dopamine and new views and new things and new lifestyle, it's gonna be a recipe for disaster. So before you think about moving abroad, make sure that you're on top of your self-discipline. I've seen it too many times where young and ambitious people move to places like Bali, Thailand, or Colombia, expecting to hit the ground running with just their passion. And they don't have their systems in place. So what ends up happening is they have access to a much better lifestyle for them at a much lower cost of living than they had in their home countries. So they essentially get lost in their own lifestyle and end up throwing discipline completely out the window. I was one of those youngsters 7 years ago. When I first came to Thailand, I had access to beautiful nature like this, parties, every single hedonistic vice that you could think of. It was way more available to me than back home in East Coast USA. So for a few years, I got completely lost and lost all self-discipline. I had to basically relearn discipline from the ground up. That's why I say before you move abroad, make sure that you're on top of your self-discipline already. What time are you most productive? Are you a morning person, an afternoon person, an evening person? Figure out what the best rhythm is for you, because everyone's different. Another thing is location. Do you work the best alone at home, at a cafe by yourself, or at a co-working space with friends? Are you a person who can work for long stretches of hours, or do you need to take frequent breaks? These are things that you should be asking yourself regardless of if you're moving abroad, if you are doing remote work. And once you figure this out, you could use this to plan your lifestyle abroad. That means finding co-working spaces, if that's what fits you, ahead of time, knowing when to go, knowing how much time off you need. These are important things in order to stay disciplined and keep your income long-term while you're living abroad. Now that it's been 7 years abroad for me, I finally figured out what works and what doesn't. But it took a lot of trial and error. I had to change locations because my phone overheated. This one is probably the most important one. Just because you move abroad doesn't mean that all your problems are going to be fixed. No matter where you go in the world, you're going to be taking yourself with you. That means all of your characteristics, your personality traits, your mental health issues, or your problems back home. Chances are that they'll follow you to your new destination. Sure, in the first few months, it might feel like everything's brand new and these problems will feel like they'll fade away, but that's just the dopamine of the new place. And once you settle in, after about 2 to 3 months, you'll start seeing these problems come up again in your daily life. And at that point, it's up to you to work on them, just like how it's up to you to work on them from back home anyway. The only difference is now you're in a different backdrop. I've seen a lot of digital nomads and some of my own friends live a lifestyle where they move every 2 to 3 months. And it's because this is the exact time that the problems from back home start repeating again in their new place. And instead of facing it directly, they choose to change the backdrop again so that they run from it and not deal with it. I definitely caught myself doing this in the first few years as a digital nomad. I would move around a lot. If I was sitting still at one place and I saw my old patterns, I would feel the urge to move again. But I found out over the years that this is simply escapism and isn't the correct way to deal with it. So if you have problems, mental health issues, or things that you want to work on, I have bad news. Moving abroad will not fix it. You're gonna have to continually work on yourself no matter where you go in this world. So those are 6 things that I wish I knew before I moved abroad 7 years ago. If you're thinking about moving abroad, which country are you considering? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope that these 6 tips and insights will be helpful for you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. As always, See you in the next one.
I love you. Bye bye.